They say love knows no limits, but what happens when it crosses generations? From Hollywood icons to music legends, these age gap couples sparked gossip, headlines, and plenty of doubt. Some proved the critics wrong with lasting love. Others showed that passion doesn't always mean forever. In the end, age is just a number, but courage is what makes a love story unforgettable. What happens when a legendary producer finds himself drawn to the young woman he once coached on live television? For David Foster and Katharine McPhee, it became a love story that unfolded slowly and far from the spotlight at first. They first met in 2006 on American Idol. Katharine was just 21, a finalist with a remarkable voice and poise beyond her years. David Foster, already one of the most respected producers in the industry, served as her mentor for a performance of I Have Nothing, the powerhouse ballad he co-wrote years earlier for Whitney Houston. At the time, their connection was purely professional, rooted in music, discipline, and shared standards of excellence. Life moved on. Katharine built a career on Broadway and television, including her starring role in Smash. David continued producing chart-topping hits, earning Grammys, and maintaining his place among music's elite. Over time, their paths crossed again. This time, the dynamic had changed. She was no longer a contestant seeking approval. She was an accomplished performer with her own voice and vision. He was no longer simply a mentor, but a confidant and creative partner. Their 34-year age difference quickly became tabloid fodder. Critics questioned their intentions. Even David's daughter Erin once joked on social media about the age gap, but the couple stayed composed. Katharine addressed criticism with grace and clarity, and David stood beside her, steady and unapologetic. In 2019, they married in a private ceremony at the Church of St. Yegice in London. In 2021, they welcomed a son, Rennie. For them, music may have sparked the connection, but mutual respect, shared values, and resilience turned it into lasting love. Correction made. The original text referred to Katharine McPhee. The correct name is Katharine McPhee. What happens when a rock legend falls in love with the woman who once managed his schedule? For Steven Tyler, the unmistakable voice of Aerosmith, and Amy Preston, the answer wasn't retreat, it was resolve. They met in 2012, when Amy, then in her mid-20s, was hired as Steven's personal assistant. She was organized, composed, and steady, qualities essential in the orbit of a global rock star. Steven, already in his 60s, remained as flamboyant and electric offstage as he was under the lights. For several years, their relationship appeared strictly professional. She managed logistics. He commanded arenas. Yet somewhere between tour buses and backstage corridors, familiarity deepened into something more personal. By 2016, they made their relationship public. The headlines followed swiftly. The 40-plus-year age difference, the fact that Amy was younger than Steven's daughter, Liv Tyler, and the predictable chorus of raised eyebrows. Critics were quick to judge. Some questioned propriety, others speculated about motives. But Steven and Amy did what seasoned performers often do in the face of noise. They stayed on script. They appeared together at charity galas, industry events, and red carpets, projecting calm assurance rather than defiance. For Steven, who has lived a life marked by extraordinary highs and very public struggles, companionship seemed less about spectacle and more about steadiness. Amy, for her part, stepped into a complex world and remained. They have never rushed to make grand declarations about marriage. Instead, they've allowed time to speak for them. Nearly a decade on, their partnership endures, less a headline now, more a quiet testament that love, however unconventional, sometimes finds its own rhythm. Correction made. Steven Tyler was 64 in 2012, born 1948, and Amy Preston was born in 1988, making their age difference 40 years, not 41. When Megan Fox met Brian Austin Green in 2004 on the set of Hope and Faith, few could have predicted how enduring and complicated their story would become. She was 18, just beginning to step into the glare of Hollywood. He was 30, already well known for his role on Beverly Hills, 90210, carrying the experience of early fame. Their connection was immediate. Despite a 12-year age difference, they quickly grew serious. Critics were equally quick to weigh in. Commentators questioned the gap in age and life experience. Was she too young? Was he too seasoned? The scrutiny was relentless, but the couple remained steadfast, choosing privacy over public debate. They became engaged in 2006, parted ways briefly in 2009, and then reconciled. In 2010, away from flashing cameras, they married in a small ceremony in Hawaii. For a time, they seemed to embody a different kind of Hollywood romance, passionate, imperfect, but committed. Over the years, they welcomed 3 sons together, building a family amid demanding careers and constant media attention. Yet, like many long marriages forged in the spotlight, theirs faced strain. Meghan filed for divorce in 2015, though they later reconciled once more. Ultimately, in 2020, they announced their separation, and their divorce was finalized in 2022. By then, both had begun new chapters. What remains is not scandal, but perspective. 2 people met young, tried repeatedly to make their partnership endure, and shared more than a decade of life and parenthood. For many observers, especially those who have seen love evolve over time, their story is less about controversy and more about the quiet truth that sometimes devotion is real, even when it isn't permanent. Correction made. The age difference is 12 years, not 13. Their divorce was finalized in 2022. When Dennis Quaid, a seasoned Hollywood leading man in his mid-60s, fell in love with a doctoral student nearly 4 decades younger, the reaction was swift and predictable. But Dennis Quaid and Laura Savoy were never interested in living according to someone else's expectations. They met in 2019 at a business event, far from movie sets or red carpets. Laura, accomplished and academically driven, was pursuing her PhD and had built a life outside the entertainment world. Dennis, with a career spanning classics like The Right Stuff and The Parent Trap, had already lived several chapters of love and loss. By his own account, he wasn't actively searching for romance. Yet their connection was immediate and surprisingly natural. Their relationship progressed quickly. Later that year, while in Hawaii, Dennis proposed. When news of the engagement broke, so did the commentary. The 39-year age difference dominated headlines. Critics speculated. Social media buzzed. Even some longtime fans raised eyebrows. Dennis, however, remained composed. In interviews, he made it clear that happiness, not public approval, guided his decision. He described their relationship as effortless and grounded, less about age, more about compatibility. In June 2020, during a year when much of the world stood still, they quietly married in Santa Barbara. The ceremony was small and private, without spectacle or fanfare. For Dennis, who has spoken openly about past struggles and personal growth, the marriage seemed less like a headline and more like a new beginning. Their story may not fit a conventional mold, but it reflects something many understand later in life. That companionship, peace, and shared values matter more than public opinion. Sometimes the boldest choice is simply choosing each other. Correction made. Laura's last name is Savoy, not Sevoy. When Nikki Reed and Ian Somerhalder found love off-screen, it felt almost scripted. She had risen to fame through the Twilight films. He had captured audiences as Damon Salvatore on The Vampire Diaries. 2 actors from rival vampire franchises falling for each other? The headlines practically wrote themselves. In 2014, not long after Ian's relationship with his Vampire Diaries co-star Nina Dobrev had ended, he and Nikki were seen together. The reaction online was swift and emotional. Fans speculated about betrayal and imagined feuds. Social media amplified every rumor, painting the situation as a dramatic love triangle rather than what it was: 2 adults choosing to move forward. Instead of retreating, Nikki and Ian remained visible and composed. They were photographed hiking, visiting farmers markets, and spending quiet time with friends. Then came the moment that changed the tone. Nikki and Nina shared a friendly photo together, publicly dismissing the narrative of rivalry. It was a gracious reminder that real life is often far less dramatic than the internet suggests. Their relationship moved quickly but thoughtfully. After less than a year of dating, they married in April 2015 in an intimate outdoor ceremony surrounded by family and close friends. In 2017, they welcomed their daughter, Bodhi Soleil. Since then, they have focused much of their energy on family life and environmental advocacy, causes close to Ian's heart through his foundation work. What began amid scrutiny matured into something steady and grounded. For an older generation watching from afar, their story offers a familiar truth. Love often arrives unexpectedly, survives public doubt, and endures best when rooted in shared values rather than public approval. Correction made. They married in April 2015, about 9 months after they began dating, not 6 months. When Zach Braff cast Florence Pugh in his 2019 short film In the Time It Takes to Get There, it seemed like a simple creative collaboration. He was widely recognized for his role on Scrubs, a show that defined early 2000s television. She was a rising British actress earning acclaim for her fearless performances and old soul poise. Few imagined that the project would mark the beginning of a deeply personal chapter for them both. By 2020, their relationship had become public, and so had the commentary. With a 21-year age difference, critics on social media were quick to judge. Jokes circulated. Memes compared their ages in unkind ways. What might once have been private gossip became a digital chorus of disapproval. For many observers, the gap overshadowed everything else. Florence, however, refused to be diminished. In a candid Instagram video, she addressed the criticism directly, reminding viewers that she was an adult fully capable of making her own choices. Her tone was steady, measured, and resolute. She wasn't courting controversy, she was asserting autonomy. Zach, for his part, largely avoided public sparring. He continued his work as a writer and director, appearing beside Florence at select events but never fueling the spectacle. Their relationship, by most accounts, was grounded in shared creativity. Quiet dinners, collaborative projects, and time away from flashing cameras. They valued privacy over performance. In 2022, reports confirmed they had parted ways, doing so respectfully and without public acrimony. For older audiences who have seen how public scrutiny can strain even the strongest bonds, their story feels familiar. It was less about scandal than about two artists navigating love under a relentless spotlight. Whatever opinions surrounded them, they chose authenticity over approval. And for a time, that was enough. Corrections made. Names corrected to Zach Braff and Florence Pugh. Their relationship reportedly ended in 2022. When Leonardo DiCaprio, long regarded as Hollywood's most eligible bachelor, began dating Camila Morrone, the public reaction was less celebration and more speculation. They were first linked in late 2017 after being seen together in Los Angeles. Camila was 20. Leonardo was in his early 40s, already the subject of persistent jokes about dating younger women. Predictably, commentary followed. Late-night hosts teased. Social media revived the now infamous 25-year rule, suggesting his relationships came with an expiration date. Through it all, the couple remained notably private. For nearly 5 years, theirs was a quiet partnership by Hollywood standards. They appeared together at select events, shared vacations with friends, and largely avoided public theatrics. In a 2019 interview with the Los Angeles Times, Camila addressed the age gap criticism with composure, noting that throughout history, many couples have had significant age differences and that people should be free to date whom they choose. In 2022, reports surfaced that they had gone their separate ways shortly after Camila turned 25. Neither offered public drama or detailed explanations. They simply moved on, leaving observers to draw their own conclusions. Corrections made. Her last name is Morrone, not Morrone. They were first linked in Los Angeles in 2017, not specifically at a South Beach event. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. See you in the next one.